All right, so what I'd like to do, a lot of people have been asking me about Vegas, about face reading, about all these different things. So if it's okay, I'd like to take about 10 or 15 minutes and just kind of go through what's coming up in Vegas, where, and everything that goes with that. And actually it serves two purposes. A, I'm doing this video clip so I can put it on the HypnoThoughts group so people understand what we're doing and everything that goes with it. So what we've got going on, let me just pull up the dates here real quick because I'll make sure so August 21st through the 23rd, we'll be doing a special presentation on, actually, we'll do this one. Secrets, this is called Secrets of Personality Transformation. And this is a 3-day pre-conference training. And what we do here is we actually take you through 7 discrete aspects of personality. It's called the Identity by Design Silo. Right. So Secrets of Personality Transformation has an interesting history. It actually was, originally it was designed as an inner game process for aspiring pickup artists. And what it did was it targeted 7 discrete aspects of a person's personality. It targeted the stored negativity in their system. You have negativity that accumulates in your body over time that you don't even know is there, that gets in the way, that influences your decisions and your behaviors and your perceptions. And so we have a process that targets how to eliminate that. Then what we do is we teach you how to remove specific negativity from your system. Now, I think it was Al Gilbert who asked about the difference between magic frame and spinning. And what I told him was, and I explained, was that certain elements of your life, certain events in your life, have safety lessons connected to them. You know, and there's a part of your neurology, that's your protective self, that wants to keep you safe. And so a lot of times when you go to remove something, if there's the thinking process that the unconscious mind takes is, well, if I forget this event, this experience, he'll forget what happened and he'll do it again, right? And so we developed this specific negativity process for extracting the safety lessons. Now, on a more global therapeutic level, many times when people have an injury, like back injury, we classify them as soft tissue. You can't find anything on the x-ray, but there's an ache there. Like a lot of people have back pain, they hurt their back really bad, and they heal, but they only have a very limited range of motion before there's an ache or a pain. Or sometimes you'll see this a lot with, on a slightly different context, people who have had a bunch of successful businesses and then lost them for whatever reason. By the time they hit the second or third business, they can't seem to get out of the gate again, right? What happens many times is when we go when we get something and then we lose it, it's traumatic for us. And so the brain starts to say, okay, how do I protect her from this in the future? How do I protect him from this in the future? And the thought process is, well, if I never let him get a lot of money, he can't lose it, right? And so if you go in and try to program people for success or overcome that trauma, and you don't account for that safety lesson, they'll bring it back. In terms of physical injuries, many times what happens is, like, say you injure your back, the protective component of the unconscious mind says, oh, I need to make sure she never does this again. So I'm just going to put a little residual pain there. Every time they get on the border, they're going to feel it. Because I don't trust this motherfucker not to do that shit again. Okay? Ring a bell? Right? And so what happens is, and in fact, if you go to, in one of your videos, in your bonus package that goes with this program, there's a 3-hour breakout I did called Speed Healing, Energy Hypnosis Speed Healing. Had like over 100 people there. And as I'm going around during one of the breakouts, there was one couple in the back of the room, 2 women, and they had just done the spinning technique, and it had dropped to like a 2. right? It was like a 7 or 8. She had a back injury. It dropped to like a 2, and it wouldn't go any further, and she still had this limited range of motion. And I hadn't taught the magic frame aspect of it yet because I was still playing with it. So I said, point to where you feel it. Notice the picture. And I had her literally point to where she felt it, reach out and touch the picture, put a big black frame around it, white out the image, and write the lessons she learned from that experience, positive or negative, and this is the mantra, so you can keep the lessons and let everything else go. How to write it out, shrink it down, throw it behind her, nailed it back there. I said now, and she had full range of motion.
Wow.
Right? Because I believe, because I understand how the neurology works from the empirical standpoint. Obviously I study neuroscience from time to time as well, but I'm mostly empirical, and then I find the supporting documentation in the science later on. I spend more time observing than I probably do anything else. I believe that a lot of that residual pain is analogous to what we would consider phantom limb pain. It's the protective mechanism of the unconscious mind setting up a safety net that keeps you from doing that shit again. Which is, if you think about it, is the primary lesson for pain anyway. Pain is a signal that we're doing something that's not good, or potentially not good for us. Right? And the neurology turns it up. Remember, the only way that your system really has to communicate with you is kinesthetics. And if we don't understand how to interpret kinesthetics, man, we're going to run west looking for a sunrise. We're going to be looking outside of us because we don't understand what's going on inside of us. We run into a medicine, anything to make the feeling stop. But the feeling isn't the problem. The feeling is the check engine light on the dashboard. Right? Just like the behaviors generated by the feeling are another check engine light. Right? So you have the behaviors to stop the feeling, but then the feeling is just the way the body tells you, hey, there's something in here you need to address. Right? So there's layers. But that's level 2 of personality transformation. So we go in and we clear all the generalized negatives. It's analogous to soaking the pot before you scrub it. Right? Then we go in and we clear out all the safety lessons that keep you stuck. Right? Next piece is we install specific driver states, specifically relentlessness, curiosity, playful, and triumph. These are states that we install in you with triggers so that you can amp it up and go forward anytime. They're states that move you forward and facilitate communication, influence, and success. Okay? And we've isolated 4. The king of which is relentlessness, and of course the queen is playfulness. Right? If you think of those two, if you're relentlessly playful or playfully relentless, it's all good. Right? So we install that. That's level 3. The next level is where we take those voices in your head that have been talking shit to you your entire life, and we change the voice so that it builds you up instead of tearing you down. We call it voice of authority. Sometimes it's a particular voice from a particular person. Sometimes that voice becomes a composite of all the positive role models you've ever had. But we remove the old voice, we put the new voice in, so that it's always playing and it's always building you up and reminding you of all the things that are awesome about you. From there, we take all that and we actually elicit your chronology from the time you were born all the way up to the present moment, and we separate out all the negativity and all the positivity, and we drain all the energy out of the negatives and transfer it into the positives. Then we put all of your positive memories back into the timeline, your time filter, so that when you look back on the past, you only remember it in ways that make your life better. Okay? We have a really cool process for that. It's called temporal editing, not to be confused with timeline, right? But there are certain analogies to it. Then what we do is we take all that stuff and we go back before your very first memory. In fact, very first memory, and we install all the changes that we made before any of that shit ever actually happened. So that as you move through the timeline, you're moving through it with all the perceptions, resources, and foreknowledge so that it changes even more. And then we cycle you through that over and over and over again until it activates what NLP calls your neurological convincer strategy. There's a set number of reps that everybody's neurology has before the neurology accepts the program. So we cycle you through that over and over and over again until it sets. Then what we do is we take all that stuff, we move in even further to before you took on a body. And we install it at the cellular level, at the DNA level. And then we go through the gestation period, so now it's imprinted and coded into your metaphorical, or in some cases literal, DNA. And we move you through the temporal editing process again until it locks. That's step 6. Then what we do, you like this, don't you, John? Right? Then what we do is we call up avatars of all the people whose traits, qualities, and characteristics that you want, that you admire, that you want to have for yourself, and we install that at the DNA level, along with everything else, and then we cycle you again. So by the time you emerge, boom, right? So the first 2 days, we're going to train you on that, just like you were going to be doing this out in the field in the hypnotherapy, in your hypnotherapy business. Then on the 3rd day, we transition you into what we call self-directed trance work, where you're going to do all 7 stages by yourself, on yourself, in as little as 7 minutes. We actually had one lady during one training, last time we taught personality transformation, she actually did it in 3.5 minutes. Entire sequence, from general negativity to magic frame, which is what we call deep trance identification, 7 minutes. Right? And then you're solid. We also throw in other techniques too that you can use, mix and match, but that's the primary process. And it's a certification, so you'll be certified in personality transformation work. If you're a coach, this is a great for your people. Yeah, get out of their way. Right? This was a performance enhancement silo that we developed for aspiring pickup artists, believe it or not. But when we actually did it on people, like the first time we taught it, the change work was so powerful, so pervasive, we said, fuck it, we're just going to use it on everything. And it takes about, if you're doing this clinically, it takes about 90 minutes to run through the whole cycle. Because you're getting them up, you're doing things, but you can do it internally in 7 minutes, right? So the first 3, that's the pre-conference training, right? That sets the stage for the next 6 days, right?
That's day 1.
That's that. Well, that's the first 3 days, but that's the point is that's what we're going to teach you how to do. In the first 3 days prior to the HypnoThoughts conference, you'll go through that. We had a huge class 2 years ago, and the change work was just. And the interesting part was we had a pretty good mix of classically trained hypnotists and people who had absolutely no clue what was going on. The people who had absolutely no clue actually did it better and faster than the people who were trained, because they didn't have to get over bad habits, bad programming, right? The hypnotists did great too, but the level of change and the pervasiveness of it was just amazing, and I'm very proud of it. It was again one of those things where everything just came together in this big download. I wrote it out, ran it, and in fact, the first time when I first did the videos from the training, I edited it down to just the processes, and at that time I was always you may have noticed I'm a whore for feedback, right? And I asked my wife to watch the videos and tell me what she thought. So I set her loose with the videos, and I went to do work in my study. About an hour and a half later, she comes in, hands me a check for $200. I'm like, what's this for? She goes, it's for the change work. Right? Don't believe me, ask her, because at that time we were very big on paying for each other's work, because she's a professional, I'm a professional, and I believe that if you're going to do this work, you should be getting paid. You're not helping your clients doing shit for free. It actually keeps them stuck. You got to give your clients some way to earn their change. Remember that second payment idea? Right? Usually the thing that puts us in the greatest degree of discomfort is the thing we should charge. Right? People like to barter. Well, if they have a lot of it, they don't have a lot of discomfort in giving it. Does that make sense? It's that degree of discomfort that we experience that creates the change. It creates the change in our self-esteem that allows us to deserve it. So it doesn't have to always be money, but it is important to make sure that scale is balanced. Right? Usually the easiest way to do that is through monetary means, because most people don't want to part with their money. Right? But someone raised a hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be in Vegas?
That'll be in Vegas, August 21st to the 23rd. Then there's 3 days of the HypnoThoughts Live Hypnosis Convention. And then if you want to do, then we're doing a 3-day post-conference certification. It's called Secrets of Face Reading and Chinese Medical Hypnotherapy. And this is a great course that I'm excited about it, because when I was doing my face reading certification, and my teacher was a woman by the name of Lillian Pearl Bridges, who wrote the book Face Reading and Chinese Medicine. And Lillian is so good. First of all, she comes from a long 1,000-year lineage or more of face readers. Her father was ex-CIA, and at the time I was training with her, she was being romanced by 2 security or intelligence agencies from 2 different countries to teach face reading to their operatives so they could spot terrorists and things like that. Lillian is so good, she can look at your face and tell you your Myers-Briggs profile. Right? So I spent the last year or so training intensely with her, huge amounts of epiphanies. One of the most frustrating things I found was that it was all diagnostic. Right? There is a healing component to Chinese face reading. I call it Chinese vibrational psychotherapy. And the way it's done is it's all intuitive. So if I'm looking at your face, I'll gravitate to the first feature that draws my attention, and we'll start to unpack that particular facial feature. It might be a marking on the ear, it might be a wrinkle in the forehead, something along. You can tell all the years of your life are marked around the periphery of the face, up to about 120 years. So you can start with childhood, and you can look at the markings on the ear and tell what events happened at childhood. This is birth, all the way to about 8 or 9 years of age, and then it picks up on the other ear, and then it circles. I think it's around this way, right? So you can look, and then it comes down the face this way. So the 20s are here, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, right? You're working way too hard. He spends a lot of time caring for somebody way too much.
Myself, maybe.
Yeah. What I mean by that is it's what we call an over-nurturing line, which means usually that the way I explain it to people is you're spending your future to pay for somebody's present. You see this in a lot of people who have people they're very like they're caregivers usually, right? They're taking care of somebody and it's just draining them. This line usually doesn't approach. I have it too, because of all the clinical work that I do. This line usually doesn't appear until around 60, supposedly around 60, but if it's appearing, it's because you're spending way too much time helping other people and not yourself. You're not nurturing yourself enough. And if you actually take the time to pamper yourself, this line will actually start to go away. Right? So it's really cool how it works. But when again, and interesting, as we unpack these things, the facial feature will start to change during the session. So it's really cool. But so it takes a little bit of a while. You have to learn how to reframe things and unpack things. So if you have a background in sleight of mouth or Ericksonian hypnosis or reframing, that's very useful in this, but you don't need it. That's the best part. If you're trained in face reading, just the vibrational interaction of them talking about their stuff and reaching a point of change in perspective will cause the shift. But if we apply vibrational interventions, like from my particular approach to hypnosis, conversational reframing techniques, we can amplify and facilitate, we can speed up that process. And that was, again, what I discovered is that I can zero in on a facial feature and unpack it and spin it, it's gone. Right? And so what you're going to see, there's never been a class like this. This is a class where we're going to teach you all the aspects of, we're going to teach you the emotional map of the face, we're going to teach you personality aspects. There's different aspects to face reading, not all of which I think are directly relevant to hypnotherapy or the therapeutic sides. There's a matchmaking component where we learn about attraction and sexual compatibility. There's business applications, jury selection, and what I'm doing, this is the first of a series of classes I'm going to do, is I'm actually taking all of Lillian's material and I'm codifying it more precisely for each specific application. So there'll be face reading applications for attraction, dating, and romance. There'll be face reading applications for the influence funnels that we do, and plus the people reading in general, right? Plus the Golden Path Workshop, which is where you can find, your mission, for lack of a better word. So this one is, again, for people who want to tap into face reading as an adjunct to therapy, either or on yourself or with your clients. And I find that the more you can tell a person about themselves without them volunteering that information, the more dramatically your authority level in their world goes up, and the more hyper-suggestible they become. So you combine what Chinese medicine teaches us with what we've learned about hypnotherapy, NLP, reframing, and all the vibrational holographic stuff from holographic memory resolution, and that's what this course is about. This course is really about integrating these things together, and you get a whole that's greater than the sum of the parts. So you'll be learning you're learning how people think, feel, and behave. You'll be able to diagnose their current physical and emotional states, what ages their most significant traumas occurred. I had one face reading that I did with a lady. They bring in models after each module, and I sat down, I looked at her, and I said, "What happened when you were 5?" She burst out crying. Not even 30 seconds. Right? It was marked clearly on her ear. And you can see where the earlobe thickens and where there's little indentations, events that impacted you. It's really cool, right? So we're going to introduce you to it. We're going to teach you the emotional map of the face. You're going to be able to look at people and you'll be able to you won't be able to officially diagnose them, but you can look at them and know what their liver's doing, what their spleen or pancreas are doing, things like that. We're going to focus more on the emotional sides of things, but remember, everything has correspondences. So liver and anger are related. So if you see, a lot of repressed anger on the face in the liver locations, you can kind of work with that. Relationships with parents and siblings. This is the one you're going to see a lot. Big mark, right here. Reading repressed emotions. You can look at them and know how they make decisions. We talked about that a little bit when we talked about the relative sizes here, how some people are more cognitive, they need all the data, they're data driven. Some people are more practical. When you talk to them, they don't really care about the data, they want to know what it's going to do for them, how they can use it. And there's other people, they don't care about the data, they don't care what the product uses, all they care about is, I love it, do I love it or not? Right? I want it because I want it. Does that make sense? So you can look at people, and when you can read them that way, you can present information to them in the way that they're most comfortable assimilating it, right? If people want, we'll talk about romantic compatibility and things like that. It's your training. That's one of the things is I have a set curriculum, but once you're in the room, I literally go around the room and I target what you want to the training, and we drill you on that. But you're going to be doing you're going to be doing classical face reading work, where you're talking about stuff, so it's a bit of a dialogue aspect. But we're also going to be working with a lot of the intervention sides, the things I've developed: spinning and framing, color breathing. Color breathing is huge because it really just wipes out all of the holographic fragments that are scattered throughout your body. Remember, you have cellular memory, and that cellular memory is largely holographic in nature, right? So the more you can get all the fragments, the less recurrence you have out in the real world. Classical regression tells us that time is like our history is like a linear line. So you have present, and then recent past, all the way back to distant past. And so when we go into regression, we're going to go boing, we're going to clear out the big chunk here and then move forward. But memories and memory fragments don't actually kind of work that way. That way it works good enough. But a lot of times what happens is people go back and they'll clean up stuff and they'll do the basic regression protocol and they'll clean the initial sensitizing event and then the subsequent sensitizing events. And then they'll move out into the world, and every so often they'll come across a situation or circumstance that was analogous to the thing they cleared up, and they'll have a flashback. But it won't be nearly as intense as the original trauma. It'll just be a recurrence. Okay? The reason for that, based on holographic memory theory, is that you didn't get all the fragments. You got the big pieces, but it splatters, right? And remember, when we're talking about holograms, each fragment contains the whole. It's just as the pieces get smaller and smaller and smaller, it loses intensity and resolution, right? That's why it comes back, but it doesn't come back as strong. We found that holographic interventions that incorporate breath work properly resets the entire, a much greater percentage of the cellular memory, and so you don't get the same level of flashback. And the best part is, you don't need deep trance to do it. You don't need deep trance to do it. In fact, you can start an intervention, come out of it, have a conversation, go right back into it where you left off, and get the same level of change as if you'd done deep level hypnotic regression. It's really cool. If you do it within the parameters or the confines of an orthodox hypnotic regression, it works even better. But you don't need it. That's the best part. You can work with people who claim to be unhypnotizable and blast their shit, right? Shit being a technical term, right? So for those of you who are interested in that kind of stuff, I invite you to come out. That's going to be a post-conference, right? There will be a certification. This is Chinese face reading and medical hypnotherapy level 1. All right. I fully intend on building out that silo. I don't know what the time frame is on that. This is the only class of its kind. It's the first time I've ever taught it, so I will be making shit up, right? Based on what I see, right? And they'll probably work their way into a regular curriculum. And then we'll talk about your golden path, which is finding your life purpose. How to unlock your inner. We can look at at the shape of your forehead and tell you what what kind of talents you're kind of inheriting. That's more the Ming module, the golden path stuff. But we'll touch on it because we want to give you an overview of what's possible with the face reading stuff. It's all energy based. We can release guilt, shame, trauma, anger, all that stuff. We'll show you where it is on the face. We'll show you how to release it, how to resolve it. Usually pretty quickly, okay? So this is, again, I'm really excited about this because I think it's something that is a long time coming for our profession. Chinese medicine has well over 5,000 years of history. This was one of the lost components. Face reading was originally one of the major pieces of Chinese medicine. It was relegated to a relatively small piece of the modern versions. And so I have permission from my teacher Lillian. As long as I name my sources and give credit to our lineage, I can do whatever. I can teach what I want. I will eventually become a certified face reading instructor through her and stuff like that. If you can study with Lillian, do it. I love her to death. She's got the most powerful Kuan Yin energy I've ever seen.
What's her last name again?
Lillian Pearl Bridges. She runs, and again, this stuff has applications everywhere. If you understand face reading, for those of you who do performance enhancement work, you can look at somebody's face and figure out which sports they're going to do better at. Body types, facial characteristics. It's amazing. I'm a baby. I really am. But I have a Snyder sense. I know where there's smoke, there's fire. So this is my introduction. Yeah, right. You ever read the book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink? My wife calls it my blink. Right. I just get these flashes. So this is what's going on the last 3 days following the HypnoThoughts Live Hypnosis Convention, which, by the way, if you're in the profession, if you're interested in helping and healing people, there really is, in my opinion, not a better convention to introduce you to the full spectrum of what's available in the profession. You'll get people who've been in the business 50, 60 years, or some people who they're just cutting their teeth and they want to learn how to present. It's got the broadest, deepest range of applications, right? There are some, so, and they're good people as a rule, very, very good people to work with. So, yeah, click this big ass link and you can sign up. No, so what we're doing right now is we're offering, you can buy any one of the single 3 days, which includes a 3-day pass to the convention for $797. Or if you want to go the full 9 days and just completely immerse yourself, because I'm teaching each of the 3 days at the HypnoThoughts convention. So I'll be teaching lie detection, I'll be teaching speed attraction techniques, 3.0, I'll be teaching people reading for fun and profit, which will also have face reading stuff in it, but it'll be different stuff from this because I want to give it, there'll be some overlap, but I want to make it more appropriate to like romantic compatibility or assessing people's decision-making styles and things like that. So it's going to be different, but there will be some overlap because people want to know about emotions and stuff like that. Plus, we'll be doing other types of body language reading and things like that. And they give me like a 3 or 4 hour breakout, so it's going to be really deep. I'm excited. Right? I think, what else am I doing? Speed attraction, lie detection, people reading. I think that's all 3 days, so I think that's what I've got during the convention. And then you've got
27, 20, 29 is
yeah.
the face read.
Yeah, so yeah, the 21st to the 23rd is Secrets of Personality Transformation. It includes the 3-day convention. You have post-convention, which is Secrets of Face Reading. You can get the entire 9 days for $997. If you do the math, it's really a no-brainer, right? Now, all of the packages, regardless of which one you choose, come with, let me find it. Oops, I think that was it. No, that's not it. Let me just do this. Boom. Boom! This is the, every one of the packages, whether it's a single 3-day or it's everything, comes with this video archive. And what it includes is an original copy of my Self-Mastery Supercharger program, which is the Identity by Design Silo, the one I taught way back when. So there's lots of videos there. It also comes with every single presentation I've done at the HypnoThoughts Live convention from 2014, including the 3-day erotic hypnosis and sensuality enhancement training, which was very popular. We got a lot of noise complaints. I'll tell you some funny stories when the camera's not running. It also includes all of the videos, all the presentations I did in 2015 from HypnoThoughts Live, and the 2015 erotic hypnosis training. It includes all the videos I did from the 2016 training, which includes speed attraction, body language secrets, people reading for fun and profit, and the first time I taught the Secrets of Personality Transformation boot camp. Now these videos are all raw, so they're not even edited, so all my off-color comments and faux pas and stuff are all here, but it's all 3 days. You'll see some amazing demonstrations. People really had profound, profound changes. And these are all things that, again, they're yours. As my way of saying thank you for jumping on the package and enjoying it. So for those of you who wanted, if you know which one you want, there's 3 different URLs. Most people who are smart take the 2-for-1, right? And all of these also come with a VIP ticket, free admission to any one of my live events for 2018, 2019. So once you grab one of these packages, you can come to any single live event that I hold, a 3-day, a 5-day, an 8-day. Yeah, do the math on that one. Right?
Meaning the rest of the courses? No.
Yeah, anything on my 2019 calendar. Right? That's the package. Right? I don't normally, I did it last year and we had a rush of people. So I can't do it for everybody, but right now that offer is still on the table. At some point I will remove it, but it's, and again, when I go to HypnoThoughts, I have one agenda: to give as much as I can, because this profession, this discipline has done so much for me, and the people have done so much, and people need the opportunity to experience what we do, and that's what I do. In fact, when you see me at HypnoThoughts, unless I'm teaching a class, the only thing most people ever see of me is my butt, because I'm running somewhere, right? So people have been asking me, and it's true. Anybody
That
who
sounds like that has.
my butt is now in your brain, right? Right? Okay.
Why your butt? Like of all the.
Because I'm walking away, right? TJ is very popular with the sound people because he can practically walk on water when it comes to audio and visual. And if you want to learn how to really do good audio and video stuff for your presentations, he's available to consult. The fastest way to build your business is through public speaking. The fastest way to leverage your public speaking is through good audio and video content that you can disseminate and share to other people. So I think TJ missed his window for doing a presentation on it, but he'll be available. You can pick his brain and whatever other party parts he'll let you pick. But anyway, I just wanted to cover that. For those of you who want to enroll in that, you can see me at the end of the event. For those of you at home who are interested in possibly attending, I'll have TJ type in the URLs into your chat window. You can just click on the links and follow them. Again, obviously, if you have the time and the availability, the whole 9-day package is probably makes the most economical sense. I invite you to come out. It's going to be a party. Supposedly, they've given me a penthouse or a suite with a really big room in it. And there might be the offhand possibility that I might be doing some private trainings in there when I'm not doing other things. There's just a rumor. I can't confirm or deny that.
It's just a rumor.
But because I love this stuff, and I want to share with you as much as I can. So, for those of you who watch this video, click on the links when we post them. For those of you who in the room who want to get involved and come hang out, see me before you leave, and we'll get you hooked up. And that being said, that's the end of my infomercial. And let's take a 5-minute break. We'll go to the restroom, come back, and we'll jump into more stuff.